Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first ever episode of I Know a Guy. I'm your host, Noah Bessell, and if you got the pun there, then congratulations. Pat yourself on the back, or something to that effect. I'm here. I'm joined by my good friend, the Ryan King. Others may know him as Ryan, and you might be wondering, what's this, big video doing on Newscene, and wondering what this is all about. So I Know a Guy is a show that is dedicated to talking about movies and talking about everything related to movies. So whether they be movie news or movie related topics, it's just a place for people who like movies to come together and just talk about all the new releases. This particular episode, we're going to go over November and all the great movies that came out in November. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So I'm going to start with Ryan King. Please tell me if I'm wrong, but October was terrible for movies. It was so bad.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my God,
pretty terrible.
I mean, Birth of a Nation is like the only movie that sticks out to me as noteworthy. But even that was like, I don't know. I talked with you a little bit about it.
It was a good film in the sense that it was informational. But as far as remarkable films go, it's very forgettable, easily forgettable.
Yeah, and it was so disappointing. So October was I wouldn't say disappointing, just not good even remotely.
The only thing scary about October were how bad those movies were.
Okay, that was good. Okay, so that being said, November was exciting from the very start. I saw all the trailers coming out for movies in November, and I was like, yes, this is going to be great. Yeah. And November started off strong, because November the 4th, we got two big releases, the first being Doctor Strange. So I guess we should just, and by the way, real quick, I probably should have said this at the start, but the way we're going to be formatting this show, because it is sort of long and not everybody watching has seen every movie we're going to be talking about. So what we're going to do is we're going to include timestamps in the description of the video. So that way you know when a discussion for a movie is starting, so you know, like, oh, I haven't seen this movie, so I'm going to skip over that to avoid spoilers, because we are going to be talking about spoilers, ladies and gentlemen. So, Doctor Strange. What did you think about Doctor Strange?
Well, I'm going to start off right at the bat saying Doctor Strange was an absolutely phenomenal film. The only thing strange about that film was the fact that it came from such an overly saturated company like Marvel and Disney, and I was really just dumbfounded at how refreshing it was. Visuals were amazing. It was a very aesthetically pleasing film. The characters were characters that I could get behind for the most part. And even though they added some changes to some of the characters, it didn't really stray too much from the material. And I'm just going to start off by saying I'm a big comic book fan, so I'm very, very judgmental when it comes to cinematic films of this sort. So I give it a straight, I'd say 8 out of 10.
Ooh,
pretty good.
Ryan gives it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, starting right off the bat.
Well, okay, I do agree with you on one thing. This, and I said this to you when we came on theater, but this is the first Marvel movie I've seen that impressed me visually, because when you see a big budget Hollywood movie, CGI is not only expected, but it's unimpressive. You know what I mean? Like nowadays, when you see someone fly around and do all this stuff, it's like it's not impressive anymore because we see it all the time. But Doctor Strange visually is like, so many people have said it, but it's like looking at people do. It's like looking at Harry Potter through like a telescope or a kaleidoscope. It's incredible, and I was worried going into it that looked too much like Inception, but I think it holds its own in terms of the visuals. I really do think that Oscar season comes around. I like predicting things. I think this is going to get visual effects nomination, as really every Marvel movie does when it comes out. But yeah. So overall, my thoughts on the movie were, I liked it. I came out of the theater and really, really, really loved it. But as time goes on, you start to think about the movie more. And Doctor Strange, for me, while visually it was friggin' sweet and just so scrumptious, and I think anyone who saw it, I'm sure, will agree with me when they say it's worth watching once just for the very trippy visuals. That being said, for me, Doctor Strange is not trippy enough, and I understand why. What I mean by not trippy enough is that because it's a Marvel movie, it has to be in the same universe as all these other movies, and they all have to have like some similar theme or some similar sort of a tone. I guess tone is a better word for it. So Doctor Strange, I wanted a movie that was gonna make me like just like, you know, sit back in my seat and wonder what I'm watching, and it didn't really happen as much as I wanted it to. It plays it safe in terms of its story, but I will say that I love the ending. The ending where Doctor Strange has to, what's the name of the villain?
Dormammu.
Dormammu, which already, you know, if he's fighting a guy named Dormammu, it's gonna be cool. But I loved how it wasn't a big action sequence. It was him doing something that was very almost like Edgar Wright-esque, when he was like constantly like rewinding time and stuff like that. Like that was amazing. Like again, it goes back to the visuals. Like that whole scene where like time is reversing all around them and stuff. Like it looks so good. You know what I mean? Like it was a visual feast. I'll say that much. So real quick, what did you think about the performances in the movie?
I definitely thought that Benedict Cumberbatch, he brought it home. I gotta say that his portrayal was it panned to the fans in a very unexpected way. I feel like when most people go to see a Marvel film, they come to see these big actors and these big names go on screen and just do these portrayals of characters that they don't really know too much about. But with Doctor Strange, we were able to dive a bit deeper into like, you know, we were able to dive a bit deeper into his origins and whatnot. And he played the part, you know, exceptionally well. He was, you know, a very, very, you know, cocky man. He gets a bit of a comeuppance, almost in a sense, a bit of a tragic hero. And towards the end of the story, we get to see that, you know, he's gonna keep on being Doctor Strange because, you know, we get an established shot of him looking at his hands and how he's gonna continue participating in these events and whatnot. He's gonna continue looking into becoming a better sorcerer so he can eventually get his original life back. And you know, that's kind of a good thing about the film. It has a hero to it, but the hero isn't being a hero just for the sake of being good. He's no Captain America. He's not being an Iron Man and making up for his past mistakes. What he's doing is, it's in a sense for self-gain, but at the same time, he's come to understand the importance of there being a Sorcerer Supreme, of there being a Doctor Strange. And that comes from his fight with Dormammu as well as the other villains like his acolytes.
Yeah, I will say this, I thought it was really satisfying to see this jerk character not change entirely, but like realize his place in this universe and how he has to become something bigger than himself. I thought that was really cool. That being said, and we talked about this at more length than I would really even want to discuss it, but I mean, I do have a problem with Doctor Strange feeling too similar to other Marvel characters. And I watched this great video. I don't remember the name of her channel, but she recently put out this video where she was talking about Suicide Squad and how bad it is. In this clever little way. But anyways, she's a really good YouTuber. But anyways, she was talking about how like all these Marvel characters, you've got Doctor Strange, you've got Ant-Man, you've got Iron Man, and even to an extent Star-Lord. And all these characters are they roughly act the same in all their movies, which isn't a problem. I mean, we're going to talk about Moanna later on. And in Moanna, I mean, the main character is very similar to past Disney princesses, but in Disney movies, there's no crossover. You know what I mean? So for me, Doctor Strange is too similar to Tony Stark. You know what I mean? Like Doctor Strange and Tony Stark, I feel like would do the same thing given a certain situation. They make the same snarky comments. Same thing with Ant-Man and everyone. So you put all these snarky characters together, you'd either get really fast-paced, fun dialogue, or you'd get boring, constant quips and almost like, you know, the fight has to stop so that each character can say their little joke, you know what I mean? Like too many characters are saying little jokes is what I guess what I'm trying to say. So, I don't know. For me, that kind of was a problem for me, Doctor Strange being too similar to Marvel characters. But hey, it's a formula. It works. It's worked for other Marvel characters, so I don't blame them for doing that. But overall, I thought Doctor Strange was a fun time. It's fun, I think, is the greatest thing. Especially because we have so much superhero movie fatigue that when a movie comes out like this that is at least visually new and exciting, that you get excited for it. I wouldn't watch it again. I don't think I'm going to buy it, but I mean, I would definitely say that Doctor Strange, given Suicide Squad, given Batman v Superman, I think it did get me excited for you know, his place in the Marvel universe, despite my sort of reservation. So overall, you liked it. I liked it. I think I liked it a little less than you. I don't really have a rating, but I'd give it like a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, maybe. It has a 90 right now. I don't agree, but you know. You can't all win. So, next up on our list, November the 4th, Hacksaw Ridge came out. And if you remember, this is another movie I suggested on Newscene. But Hacksaw Ridge, I had some reservations about. Now, you didn't see Hacksaw?
I have not seen Hacksaw Ridge, unfortunately.
So let me ask you this before we get into it. Did you see the trailer?
I have seen snippets of the trailers and whatnot.
So what did you think about it?
Well, from what I can piece together is, it doesn't seem to be your, from what I've seen, it doesn't seem to be your run-of-the-mill war film and whatnot. It looked as though it was going to be intriguing. I hadn't gotten around to seeing it because I mostly, for the most part, as you can tell, 2016 not being an absolutely amazing year for movies.
That's true.
And with our stellar track record, I haven't been too keen on getting my hopes up to see movies of sorts, especially movies in which don't exactly catch my eye, whatnot.
Yeah.
So for me, Hacksaw Ridge seemed to be a movie mostly based off of a very specific time, and it was a very specific characters, because these characters, they are bound by their experiences, and what they experienced in the war would it would leave them to an extent, it would leave them fractured and whatnot. That's what I've always pictured when I think about characters in a war film. And for me, my father served in the Marines, so for me, I've never really been too much for watching war films because my grandfather also served in the Marines, and it was a bit of a serious experience for me. And whenever I see a war film, sometimes I just mostly get the urge just to look at it and say, oh, that's not how that would work out. That's not how it would play out at all. So for me, it was kind of a skip. I mean, I heard good things about it. I heard that it was an okay film. So basically, based off of what I've seen, the roles, the cast, and whatnot, I say that I give it a C, but I have not seen it. So.
All right. Well, let me tell you, the trailer for Hacksaw Ridge was, in many ways, awful. It turned me off to this movie, and I did not want to see it. The only reason I went out and saw it was because of all the good publicity this movie was getting. This is Mel Gibson's comeback to directing, and it was really, really good and really, really faithful to this character. And for those who've seen it, Hacksaw Ridge, as you know, is great. It starts off weak, I think. Just like the trailer, it's very sappy, and it's so sugary. It's like this movie's trying to drown you in maple syrup. How sweet and innocent Andrew Garfield is with his love interest. But as soon as the war scenes start, it is so good. I mean, everything about this movie from the sets. Of course, you'd expect a war movie to have elaborate sets, but it's so grim, and you're so in the moment because you genuinely feel for this guy who, despite his seemingly ridiculous religious convictions and not wanting to shoot anybody, which I liked how. I really did, in a way, side with the people who were angry at him, because it's dude, you're fighting for your country. You're not going to pick up a gun. What are you doing? But you had to respect his convictions and the way he really fought for, hey, I want to serve my country. I just don't want to shoot anybody. And you can respect him for that. And I liked how we, as the audience, with the characters, learned to respect his beliefs. The war scenes, I cannot get over how good these are. The sound design in particular, I'm predicting Oscars for sound mixing and sound editing, because you can hear every single piece of shrapnel and dirt that hits the helmets, and everything is so clear. It's just, it's so good. As far as depictions of war go, there's just enough style. Mel Gibson uses slow motion in all the right ways. It's never, I don't know. He never uses too much of it. It always looks, it looks cool, but it's also terrifying. You see people lit on fire, and he doesn't hold back at all. And I really, really like that. And I think, as far as war stories go, it was inspirational. It was heartwarming at the end when you saw, the actual Desmond Dawes on the screen. You saw the actual interviews with him. And I really enjoyed Hacksaw Ridge, and I think that fans of war movies really enjoyed it too. I don't know. Let me know, guys. But yeah, that was Hacksaw Ridge. I really liked it. Beginning was sappy, and I don't like it. Skip ahead 45 minutes if you ever get it on DVD or something, and you'll have a good time. So next up is Arrival. Oh boy, do we have a movie. Okay, November was great. And Arrival was the first movie of the month that really struck a chord with me. So you haven't seen Arrival either, but,
No,
what have you heard about it?
I've seen trailers. I've read synopses. And I've read summaries. And based off of what I've got, it's a pretty. It seems as though it was a pretty interesting film. I love films of this sort. Basically anything alien related, sci-fi, stuff like that. I'm a huge nerd about it. I will I'm not even gonna get into that. But you know, from what I can tell, you know, it was a pretty intriguing film. I mean, the characters, the cast and whatnot. You know, it wasn't like, you know, a bunch of blockbuster famous Hollywood actors and whatnot.
You have Amy Adams though.
We did have Amy Adams, and you know, Amy Adams is a great actress. She is absolutely amazing. She was fantastic, and she brought a stellar performance to the movie, in my opinion. Although I'm an Amy Adams fanboy, so you know, you may even give her praise where praise isn't due. But yeah, as far as the cast goes, it wasn't just chock full of just a bunch of familiar faces and whatnot. Like, we got to see some actual, you know, interesting individuals, and they got to portray their roles in ways in which, you know, Hollywood is seemingly forgotten. I mean, like, basically, like, you know, you can't go into a theater without seeing Scarlett Johansson or you know Johnny Depp or any of the famous faces. And this film, it for me, the cast is basically what cemented it. I mean, as I was reading through the summaries and whatnot, I thought to myself, man, you know, I haven't seen these actors in too many films. I would love to see their performance on screen. And I actually really wanted to get out and see it. And, you know, honestly, I would definitely take a trip to the theater. Seems like not a waste of $8.
And you absolutely should, because Arrival, as those who have watched know, is amazing. And I'm once again, spoiler warnings, please, if you have not seen Arrival yet, don't watch this part, because part of the fun of Arrival for me was just the last third of this movie, just like it rips out your mind as the audience member, and it starts like slapping it repeatedly, and then it puts it back in your head, and it just stares at you until you walk out of the theater and you're like blinking and like wondering what happened. And I mean that in the best possible way, because yeah, Arrival was I loved it. So real quick, I want to mention Amy Adams was fantastic. Once again, she's shown that she is a true. She's an actress's actress, I guess. I mean, and we were talking about this a little bit. How there's so much wasted potential in a lot of these superhero movies with her in Batman v Superman, and she gets nothing. She gets no lines. She does one of the dumbest things in the whole movie. In a movie full of dumb things, she does one of the dumbest things. I feel so bad for her, and she's shown right here that I think, you know, what makes a good actor or good actress is their ability to convince you that they're a real person and that they really exist. And Amy Adams is very not uncomfortable, but her very sort of solemn and deeply you know, inward sort of persona. I thought she did so very well. She seemed like the type that would, you know, be a teacher, which she is in the movie, or like a librarian or something. You know what I mean? And I just I love it. And you know, the rest of the cast was fine, but it's really Amy Adams' movie. You know what I mean? It really is. And I just want to real quick shout out this director, Denis Villeneuve, I think his name is. This man has not made a bad movie. You got Sicario, which I haven't seen yet, but I want to very bad. I'm a big Emily Blunt fan. You got Prisoners, which was just bleak and really hard to watch. I don't know if a lot of people who've seen it can watch it again, but I love Prisoners. And then you had Enemy, which is another mind-blowing film. And I don't like using the term mind-blowing because it's kind of easy, but the words can't really come to me to describe how deeply impactful Enemy was to me. Not just in terms of its cinematography, but in terms of its story and its deeply rooted metaphors that don't slap you in the face. They're instead just there for you to find. And the same applies to Arrival. It's revealed towards the end that I don't want to tell it you because you haven't seen it. I don't want to spoil it for you. I know I said there's going to be spoilers, but anyways, those who've seen it, the end of this film, it's very big, and it almost reminded me in a way of a Christopher Nolan movie, but it still allows for that breathing room and that sort of, for the audience to kind of interpret what they're seeing. And you know, Arrival was absolutely mind-blowing. It's a great contemporary sci-fi movie. I'm curious to wonder how many people who've seen it who thought it was going to be a big action blockbuster. So yeah, I don't know. If you thought you're going into this thinking it was going to be guns blazing and lasers everywhere, go ahead and tell me, because I get a kick out of that. And don't feel bad about that either. I thought Foxcatcher was a comedy, and then that it wasn't a comedy. So, all right, next up, Edge of 17. Oh boy, yeah. We saw this. Oh boy, I loved Edge of 17. Ryan, real quick, what do you think? What do you think, Ryan King?
I've got to say, if you are a teenager, which in fact, if you're watching the show, you most likely are, you are definitely in for a treat. Yeah. It was an absolutely, just
so freaking charming. Like, yeah. Oh my gosh.
It was a fun ride. Yeah. I went into the theater not thinking much of it, and then when I saw it, from the second I laid eyes upon it, I was in love. It basically conveyed the emotions in which every teenager feels at some point, and if not every teenager, then most teenagers. You know, it presented a very real, grounded situation, and when I saw it, it was almost to the point. It was almost to the effect of that it wasn't an actual movie. Like, I could imagine this being a real character, which we talked about earlier with the actors and actresses. Making it seem as though this was a real character, this was a believable character, this is someone who exists. Yes, Haley Steinfeld was amazing. She was the teenage girl, yeah. And you know, from her older brother, you know, from her having an older sibling who's, you know, popular, to her having a best friend who's got a thing for him, it was just, you know, amazing. Like, I feel like this is something that the majority of teenagers have dealt with throughout their long teenage years, run as a teenager. It was and it was just a fun movie. Like, you know, I was just like, this is a movie. This is an everyman movie, an every woman movie, every teenager movie. Yeah, and basically this was a movie in which you could sit back and you could laugh and have some fun here. You may shed a tear here, and you could be like, oh, I've had moments in my life where this stuff has impacted me. Things like this have impacted me, and it was just a really fun movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, fun exactly is how I describe this movie. Like, oh my god, like, this movie again is another movie that was not on my radar until I guess heard all of the buzz for it. It's got like a 95 on Rotten Tomatoes. I was like, oh my god, I gotta see this movie, and just the quintessential high school film. Like we talk about, you know, all these high school films that our parents grew up on. You know, they got Breakfast Club, they got Heathers, they have all these coming of age movies. And you know, we have some good coming of age movies. You know, we got The Spectacular Now, which I adore. You know, The Way Back, stuff like that. But this really is a movie that is basically required watching for anyone that goes here, anyone that goes to any high school, or anyone that's ever been in a high school.
Look, I don't want to take up a ton of your time, but I'm gonna kill myself. I just thought that someone should know. I don't really know how this works. I'm probably gonna jump off an overpass in front of a semi, or a U-Haul, maybe just on a bus. I'm not gonna be a dick and make people watch, but it has to be big. It's gotta be so big that it just, done, kills me, lights out. Because if it just maims me, and I'm like, well then, how's that good for anyone? Then I gotta find a nurse to smother me. How am I gonna get across smothering if I'm... We don't need to get caught up in the minutia. I just thought that an adult, so you should know.
I mean, and by the way, I'm calling it right now. Best original screenplay, this is at least gonna get nominated, because, oh my gosh, the writing is so good. It's so believable, and it's so real, and you feel like all these situations, like, for me, Haley Steinfeld's character was just, I feel like everything she went through, I'm going through or have been through, and I just, like, there's this one scene where she's at a party, and she's trying to convince herself to not be so awkward around people. And like that feeling that she has of her just yelling at herself in this mirror, not yelling, but, you know, getting frustrated at herself in this mirror, was just, I was like, oh my gosh, I have the exact same way. I'm not good at parties at all, I'm terrible. And it's just, you know, scenes like that where you know, her actual, and by the way, Haley Steinfeld in this movie, not only very convincing, but, you know, kind of rude sometimes, kind of mean, and you know, she felt like a real person. Everyone in this movie felt like a real person, especially her. Also, I loved Woody Harrelson. Yeah, you like Woody Harrelson?
Woody
Oh my
Harrelson
God,
is-
all of his like nonchalant.
He's always a treat.
Yeah,
yes,
he's great. He's great. I mean, all his nonchalant remarks and stuff, they were just, they were beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, Edge of 17, please see it. It is absolutely worth it. It's rated R too. They didn't hold back. They made sure that the depictions of teenagers are real. Teenagers swear. Teenagers are mean to each other.
Yeah.
Teenagers hate themselves. And I just, I loved Edge of 17. I'm definitely going to be buying this movie on Blu-ray. So yeah, that's Edge of 17. We got 3 more. Next up is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. So you saw a little bit of this.
Yes,
You pirated it, and it was bad quality.
Yeah, I'm a lawbreaker. But yeah, from what I've seen of Fantastic Beast, I mean, it seemed like it was an enthralling film. It basically it was fun. It got a rise out of me. It was a pretty gripping film, not in the sense that it was too serious or whatnot, but like it was a film in which I could actually sit down and say, I wouldn't mind watching this. And when I sat down and began watching it, I said to myself, this is pretty quality. And I went in with the expectation that it was going to be, terrible. I was just like, oh yeah, they're just trying to make some more bank. This is literally only being made for the money. Like most people don't even know the book of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. A lot of people are uninformed on the original tale of it, and I feel like if you don't know the book, you won't be missing out on too much.
I think so.
But the movie was definitely something to go see. Like I wouldn't say oh yeah, I'd definitely go see it. 10 out of 10, I'd see it again. But if you haven't seen it and you're a fan of Harry Potter, you're definitely gonna like Fantastic Beasts.
Without a doubt. Oh
I mean,
God.
they're callbacks and they're callbacks of all sorts and whatnot. Once again, we have another film which visuals for me were pretty good. They weren't absolutely fantastical, but they were, for the most part, they were adequate. They were definitely adequate. And the animals and whatnot.
The design was good.
The animals and the design, the concepts for all the creatures and whatnot. They were pretty trippy. They were pretty
So are you a big Harry Potter fan?
I am a big Harry Potter fan. My sister got me into it when I was really young. I've read about 4 books out of the series, seen all the movies. I even had some of the merchandise when I was a bit younger in my fresh-faced years. Yes. But for me, I was just like, oh man, I love Harry Potter. I'm gonna hate this movie. And then I went in, and from what I saw of the film, I was just like, oh, you know what? This is pretty good. I wouldn't mind seeing the rest of it. Yeah. And it was just it left me with a bit of a mixed feeling, but at the same time, it definitely delivered as far as good films go.
Yeah. I thought it was cute. And my biggest problem with this movie, I think I'll get to towards the end of this, but I thought that Eddie Redmayne was annoying at first because Eddie Redmayne does this thing where he looks down and he doesn't make eye contact with people, and that's my thing, Eddie Redmayne. Why are you doing it? You're a wizard. You can talk to people. But I loved seeing how he's so much better with animals than he is with people. I really liked that about his character. Actually, I really did. And the whole plot of this movie and everything about it is very cute, and it's very like, all right, it's a self-contained thing. But my big problem with this movie is the fact that they want to do 4 more. They want to do 4 more, and it's like the way this movie ends. Even it's like it's such a cute little ending, and it's like, don't ruin it, you know what I mean? Like, I guess they can't really ruin it, I guess, by making another movie, but it's like, J.K. Rowling's now just completely writing, not from any book or anything like that. She's writing her own screenplay, which I can respect. But it's just, I don't know. I don't know. What are they going to do for 4 more movies? Like, they gotta fight Johnny Depp, but they got him at the end. Like, I don't know. I mean, that's my biggest problem with Fantastic Beasts is that they want to make 4 more. If this was just the one, I'd be like, yeah, go see it. It's a cute little movie to kind of hold you up for if you're a Harry Potter fan and you're just looking for more Harry Potter stuff. Yeah. I thought it got a little dark in some places. I really liked the whimsical attitude they had a lot of the time. Like, my favorite parts of the whole movie were when they were catching the different monsters and you got to learn about them. And I love seeing Newt Scamander, he knows how to catch these creatures, so he has to do it in different ways. I love learning about all that stuff. So I'd say that's definitely the best part of the movie. And if you get more of that in sequels, then I'll be on board for it. But as a mild Harry Potter fan and a former large Harry Potter fan, I think we enjoyed it, but we're not excited. I don't know. Are you excited for 4 more?
No, I honestly,
we really don't need
to
more.
piggyback off what you were saying and what I was saying, when the film was created, I felt as though it was generated strictly for revenue.
Oh, and it absolutely
and
is,
you know
absolutely.
the film, even though it ended up being a pleasant surprise, I definitely do not see them having a lucrative experience coming up with 4 more sequels. And I feel like this is only going to go downhill. This is Lion King 2, Simba's Pride.
Oh my
It's
God.
just going to be. I feel like that we're just going to be introduced to like this, basically like Harry Potter X Pokemon. Just like they're going to be catching creatures nonstop. Like, oh yeah, you know, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 2, Lost in New York, and it's just going to be no.
It's like, if it doesn't Beast 5, we're gonna catch even more beasts. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I guess what you're saying, like,
Yeah.
it's a
So it may
tired-
get overplayed really quickly, but
Yeah,
you know.
I don't know. Well, you know, we'll see. We'll see. I have some faith in J.K. Rowling. I think she knows how to make something whimsical. There's lots of whimsy in this movie. That's what I appreciated. So,
Some might even say it's magical.
or fantastic. Yeah, good joke. But yeah, overall, good. It's a good one.
Good one.
So next up, moving on from a good movie to the best movie of the year, Moonlight. So let's talk about Moonlight for a little bit. Did you see Moonlight?
I have not seen Moonlight,
Okay.
unfortunately.
What have you heard about Moonlight? It's the best thing
From what
ever.
I've heard about it, a lot of people have given this movie so much praise. I've been meaning to get into it. I've just heard nothing but greatness from all sorts of people, like young, old, you know, people. Like my little cousin had actually gone to see the movie, and you know, he's got a very short attention span, and he came back and he told me, you know, oh, this film was amazing and whatnot. I'm just like, really? I was just absolutely shocked. I was just awestricken with the fact that even like smaller children, you know, were able to like look at this film and like get enticed by it and whatnot.
very mature,
And,
very
yeah,
mature movie.
and like I'm just like, you know, and I'm just like, you know, I was just like, this must be a great film because, you know, like all I hear is just wonderful things about it. My mother had actually gone to see it, and from what she told me, it was a very, very, very amazing film in her opinion. I honestly thought that she was just, you know, exaggerating until I started hearing good press from everybody.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, oh, well, this sounds like a very good film. Sounds like something that I wouldn't mind going to go see. And, you know, it's gotten good reviews. It's gotten, you know, good critics have given good words about it. So, you know, honestly, I'm just going to have to go out and go see it.
Yeah,
But from what
you are.
Yeah.
Because it's a good movie. It really is. I'll say this. I think it's a little bit overrated only because it's some kind of, maybe it's because it's slow paced, but I think it's supposed to be slow paced. And I'm really interested to see what people who've seen Moonlight have to say about this because as far as performances go, this is probably the most impressive we're going to see all year because each individual actor who's playing the same character, Chiron, is incredible. They're so good. Like, once again, an actor that's able to convince you that they're a real person. Each character, whether it be the 8-year-old boy or the teenager or the adult, they all seem like they are the same person and they're all real people. And I think that's the greatest achievement Moonlight did, was make sure that you feel like all these things happen, all these people are real, and these performances truly is what hold it together. So lots of performance Oscars, I imagine. Adapted screenplay Oscar, I imagine, and Best Picture Oscar, I imagine. But yeah, I mean, it's just a very well-crafted film. And again, it's slow-paced, but not in a bad way, in a way where it's sort of like, it's life. You know, life can sometimes be slow-paced, and it takes its time with the conversations that it has in the movie. So overall, Moonlight, great movie. I think I have to think about it more before I really decide if all of the hype and press around it is truly worth it. But, you know, I guess we'll see. I'm still thinking about Moonlight, so I think that's probably a good thing, but definitely. So last up in our November movie roundup is the big blockbuster to kind of bring everything together. Disney's new movie, Moanna. Have you seen Moanna?
I have unfortunately not seen this movie,
All right,
but my sister and my nephew have gone to go see it, and as always, you know, based off of the company which produced this film, I mean, you can only expect that it's going to be
High quality.
High quality, yeah, because I mean they've held themselves to, like, you know, this certain standard that they gotta produce good movies, and you know, from the beginning, it seemed as though it may have been a fun movie that I wouldn't mind going to go see. And then as I got into it, I was just like, oh, this is just Dwayne The Rock Johnson animated with hair, and it's just, I was just like, I don't know if I really want to go invest my time in going to go see this. It was I got kind of a Disney's Hercules vibe, like the early animated film back in the early 2000s. I got kind of that same vibe from it, and I said to myself, well, I loved Hercules. Maybe I'll go see it. But as I continue to hear about it and whatnot, I just kind of got disillusioned with it, and eventually I got turned off from the film as a whole. I mean, it definitely seems like a fun film. I'm definitely by no means putting it down. I strongly suggest that you go see it. I mean, it's gotten good reviews, and if you got a little cousin, little brother, little sister, they'll love it. It'll be a definite treat for them. But as far as me going to go see it, I mean, I do understand that it wasn't exactly generated to be pushed out upon a teenage audience, but it just didn't have it going on for me. So
Well, before I go into it, did you see Zootopia?
I have seen Zootopia. It was
Did you like that?
I like that movie because of the fact that it was able to carry on the way it did, and the fact that it was able to really attack problems which were real world problems, like
in a clever way.
Yeah, in a clever way. Like these were like real problems, like that plague the world today,
racism,
like
drug
racism,
abuse,
sexism,
like all this stuff.
Yeah, it was all types of stuff, and they attacked it, but in a nice, subtle enough way to the point where it wasn't right on the nose, but it still got that point across.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the only reason I asked that just because they're both Disney movies. They both came out this year. We got lucky. We got 2 Disney movies this year, and Moana overall I did not enjoy more than Zootopia. I will say this, Moana was still a fun time that I think anyone can enjoy. Like, Disney makes great movies for families. So if you bring your family to this, they'll enjoy it, I promise you. As far as the animation goes, every single time there's a new Disney movie, it's always better than the last in terms of animation. The water in this movie in particular, I can just look at it the whole time, for the whole runtime, and be thoroughly entertained because it is the most convincing water I've ever seen in an animated movie. I mean, I do have a problem with Moana as a character because Moana, Anna from Frozen, and Rapunzel from Tangled are all the same character. They're all the same character. Again, that's not a problem necessarily because they're not going to have a crossover movie or anything. But it is obvious that Disney's kind of struck a character type that they like in their Disney princesses. And I would like to see more variety in their characters. That being said, Moana's still very likable. She's very driven. You want to see her succeed. You want to see her sail. That drive she has for adventure is very infectious, and you really want to see her succeed. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was great, so charismatic, bringing that charisma that everyone loves him for. And it's just a whimsical, magical, fun time. I mean, it really is a fun movie. I thought that the music was. I think it needs to grow on me a little bit, just because it's obviously from a writer of a musical. Hamilton writer did it, so the music's it doesn't focus on a chorus or anything like that. It's more about telling a story than anything else. Not to say that that's a bad thing or anything. It's just you don't immediately know the words to the song the first time you listen to it, and that's not a bad thing. But I mean, overall, Moana was really enjoyable. The visuals are so good. It looks beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And this is definitely going to be a contender for Best Animated Picture, but though I think Zootopia is going to win because Zootopia was magnifique. But Moana, really, I think if you're a Disney fan, go out and see it. If you haven't seen it already, you're going to like it. I really enjoyed Moana. That about does it for this month in movies for November. Thank you for tuning in to the first ever episode of I Know a Guy. And remember, if you are wondering what movies to watch, just remember that you know a guy, and that guy's me, Noah. Catchphrase still needs some work, but we'll work on it. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you back probably in January for episode 2 when we talk about December movies and hate ourselves that we're watching movies in January. All right, everybody. Keep on watching movies and have a pleasant rest of your day.
And cut. One more for a good one. One at a time.
Okay.
Yes, you. Go ahead.